All right, all right. Hello, hello. Think you guys can hear me. There's the red bar. Look at James. I got 327s. I don't know, James. I can't really do the top bottom thing anymore. I do have I have a top one too, but that's I don't know. I feel like every so often I'm like, man, I just get tired of doing work on the top one. I prefer to go left, right, but sometimes you got to go up. What's up, Corey? How you doing, buddy? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where's James in there? Come on, James. I'm picking on your 37-inch monitors. Yeah, I have like a standard format. I'm telling you, guys, once you go ultra wide for monitors, you're never gonna, it's one of those things. You just get so used to it. There's just so much real estate. It's like, oh, it's like having like four monitors instead of just these two. I'm not like Jack though. Jack has like all these monitors all over the place. I can't go that far. Ooh, Corey, you're still essential, huh? Yeah, my wife is technically considered essential because she's in the banking industry. But she's officially working from home now, so yeah, had to set up the old backup monitors. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still mixed. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of not happy. She gets stir crazy. Like if we have snow for like, not that happens often, but we get snow and we're like snowed in for like the weekend. By Monday, she's like going crazy. She's like pulling her hair out. So trying to figure out how the next, 6 to 8 weeks she's going to be working from home with me. Yeah. Corey, I think besides you, I don't think anybody else. I think everybody else is already homebound at this point. You may be one of the last. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at things. Um, no retail for me. Yeah. All right. So looking at kind of the movement for today, gotta say, quite excited. Not because any one pair moved, but basically because no pair went like super crazy all over the place, right? Looking at things like the euro dollar up 124. Is that a big day? Yeah, it's a big day. Is it the type of days that we've had recently? No. Um, pound dollar, -9 in one day. When was the last time we had less than 10 pips worth of movement in one day? That's pretty nice. Dollar yen, -13. Looks good to me. Dollar Swiss down 64. Again, interesting. Dollar CAD down 29, which is really like nothing. Aussie dollar up 198. That's a big number, but again, everybody understands why. That's kind of a, big deal there. And again, a lot of that is, again, that's kind of minor, again, kind of gold stuff. Euro pound up 120. That's quite a big number in one day. Again, the pound is still continuing to kind of drop to the downside. I was thinking about it this weekend when I was looking at that chart. I was like, I wonder if this continues. If this continues, could that actually get to parity? And what would happen first? Would the euro pound get to parity first, or would the euro dollar get to parity first? Is kind of what I'm thinking there. I don't know. Kind of interesting either way. But again, euro pound up 124. Again, it's an average big day. It's not the day that we've been having lately, but not bad. And then obviously down, pound yen down 29. That's a nice looking day, right? And when I say nice looking, I wanted to get back to what it was before all the craziness happened. Now, big question, okay, and looking at a number of the charts, have a lot of the bottoms been put in is the big question that I have. Like things like oil, wasn't a bad Monday, right? Not too much, more is going on. And a lot of pairs have kind of taken that turn and kind of moved. If you're looking at the Aussie pairs right now, at least on the lower time frames, Aussie's doing nothing but heading straight up on all the time frames right now, right? So again, not too bad. Has the bottoms been put in? And again, across the board, have all the bottoms been put in? So very, very interesting, right? The way that it worked out. This week was very challenging to do the weekly report on Saturday or on Sunday. This week we had 5 things move from either high or low into the medium range, meaning that, again, they were following, their recommendations on the curve. A few things stayed high and went actually higher, which is kind of interesting. And again, that was some of the euro pairs. There's not a whole lot we can do about that. But for the most part, they all kind of did or stayed where they should have stayed. So not too bad, right? The gaps were an absolute mess. Okay, again, if you guys saw I posted on there was actually no valid setups this week. It's great to see that the currency pairs are kind of falling back in line of where they should be, what their ATRs were before the last 2 weeks. Unfortunately, this weekend the spreads are still completely jacked up, and there's nothing we can do about that. The only setup that I actually had was a small Euro Swiss position. Again, the zone that it was formed off of was only about 6-7 pips. The spread was a bit more than that, and I waited for it to kind of calm down a bit, but it actually opened that area and ended up going to an opposing zone. So that was about the only trade setup I had. And it didn't quite meet the requirements, but there was literally no gaps. Everything was gapping. Like, I guess an example is the euro yen. It only gapped 6 pips, which typically by itself is not really necessarily a setup. But then the spread on that pair was 30. Right? I'm like, wait, there's a 6 pip spread, but yet a 6 pip jump, but yet a spread of 30? No thanks. Okay, so again, what we need this week to be not as crazy. Like, again, the Aussie dollar up 200, that's a lot, but again, that can occasionally happen. Everything else is more or less in order of where it should be or just slightly above. That will help bring these spreads back down again and make things more tradable, right? Even looking right now, I would say the spreads, again, with everything going on the Aussie right now, the spreads are slightly big. Again, Aussie dollars, between 1 and 2. Aussie New Zealand is about 3. Aussie CAD is 2. Aussie Swiss is about between 2 and 3. Those two keep jumping back and forth. The Aussie Singapore, obviously, a bit more at 4. And Aussie Yen is between 1 and 2. Yeah, it looks like 1 and 2. So, again, starting to get back down to where it used to be, or it's supposed to be. Okay, pretty excited about that across the board. Looking at today's news again, I mean G20 meeting, sure. The CB index. Let me put this back in here. We'll do this. Do all. Make sure I redo that again. You can see again. Fed announcements and President Trump speaking. He basically will speak every single day, so it's something you got to add in there. He's typically speaking. It says 5. Yesterday it said 5 and he didn't speak till 6. Today it was 5:30 and he spoke at 6:15. So tomorrow I'm just logging in at 6 to listen to that one. But he's pretty much giving a COVID response every day and kind of giving us updates. Now, I will say his speech today was the most on teleprompter canned message I've ever seen him say. I don't know if he's just, I don't know, it was weird. I don't know who wrote it, but he actually stayed on the speech today. And again, it's pretty interesting. Again, we don't have that bill. Or I guess there was fighting back and forth over the bill today. He didn't make as big a deal as I thought he would over it. I don't know. I think he's kind of middle of the road on this one. I don't think he's too favorable on one side or the other. So, kind of interesting. Yeah, kind of interesting, definitely for sure. But we will see. But each day we're gonna have to prepare for that. There's nothing we can do about it. Going into tomorrow, again, we got a bit more news tomorrow. So, interesting enough. Tomorrow is one of those days where it's literally nothing but flash services, right? PMI all the way down between France, Germany, the overall euro, the pound, and the dollar, right? Everybody's got flash PMI tomorrow, right? Looking at this side over here. So again, the last reading that we got for most of the PMIs, it was worse than forecast. This is going to make trading a bit interesting tomorrow, and here's why. Here's our previous numbers, right? And none of them, a lot of them are bordered, right? Here's what the forecast levels are. And lately, all our forecasts have not been as bad as what the actual is. So if we kind of start off early with French numbers being bad and then German numbers being bad, you can see the German numbers are picked to be way below, right? French numbers even more, right? European, obviously, they were already kind of below 50, and then again, going down to 40. Again, if these come in at 35, don't be surprised. Germany, not bad. Or I'm sorry, the GDP, not bad. They were above. They're forecasting them to be only slightly below. And I think that is also an interesting number to look at because, if the euro numbers come in kind of expected, and again, everything gets washed out, and then this pound number comes in and it's even worse, like if this is like 30 or 35, man, that euro pound is going to spike. But it literally could be a spike back and forth all morning, right? And then obviously G7 meetings, and then the U.S. at 9:45, flash manufacturing PMI as well. Again, we were hovering right around that kind of, right around that 50 number. And now they're forecasting 45.1. Again, this is where we're going to start seeing it. Followed up by the Richmond Manufacturing Index being negative before and then going more negative. So, again, basically from 4 o'clock in the morning till 10. Oh, I got to pop. I have like an ear that's like swollen. I just won't pop. Oh. This weather's killing me. Yesterday it was like gorgeous out. Today it was like rainy and super cold. My head's like, stop, pick a temperature, stick with it. All right, so it's a morning all of noise of literally PMI news back and forth. Looking at today's news, obviously, Corona stimulus bill is blocked again in the Senate. That was an hour and a half ago. He's not going to let this turn into a long-standing financial problem. Yeah, there's more things, and again, depending on what side of the aisle you sit on, you're focusing kind of on different aspects of the problem. But as you can see, there's nothing too much sitting in here. It's just the same thing. He's not going to let this turn into a long-standing financial problem. I understand what he's talking about here. I think that the longer this goes on, the longer the economy shut down, the longer the lasting effects will be. I understand both sides of the aisle and what they're trying to accomplish. I don't know. Obviously the Democrats are like, no, small business. We got to focus on them. Give it to just hospitals and everything. But it's like, yeah, you can. I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Some of these large companies, if they crash, all the infrastructure that's associated with them is going to crash also. And maybe that fosters some new startup companies. But again, where's the funding coming from that? Where's the infrastructure coming from? I mean, there's a lot of problems with that. So I don't know. I think they need to focus on keeping people from failing as much as possible. I think it's funny people are up in arms about the government giving loans where the government can actually profit from the loans. It's like, okay. I mean, I don't know. They did that in the financial crisis, right? I mean, they made a ton of money off of the backstopping they did there. And I didn't hear anybody bat an eye about that one. But yeah, so who knows? I just want to make no mistake, we'll protect our company. So Germany is doing the right thing. Again, Germany understands the how important industry is. We'll see about this one as well. And then obviously Boris is talking about a lockdown effective in the evening. So the UK took a big change. They followed some data, went one route. It didn't turn out well, and they made the adjustments. So we'll see. Is what it is. Like I said, I think the biggest thing we're looking for right now is kind of the sentiment in the morning, and then obviously Trump talking at night. Como seems to be the one that is speaking the most in the morning because New York is obviously a hot spot. If you guys watched the press conference tonight, you heard them say that Washington is basically 2 weeks ahead of New York. That they're basically kind of projecting things. We've already had supplies and everything else delivered, so it looks like looks like things are progressing. I know we haven't run out of supplies yet, and the goal is to keep us from getting to that situation. So supplies delivered is good. Also, they have 10,000 doses of that kind of cocktail with the hydro, whatever it's called, and the erythromycin. Those Z-Packs, those go up tomorrow. Those actually start getting into patients' bodies tomorrow. So that will be interesting to see how that's working. Like I said, New York was kind of like, hey, let's do this now. We got to kind of stem this. We'll take the drugs here. And they're going to start testing it in live trials tomorrow. So that'll be kind of cool. See how that turns out. Hopefully it turns out as good as everybody, or as some people are expecting it. There are some people that want it to fail, and hopefully, those people are proven wrong. And again, we get the benefit that we're seeking out of it to get this over faster. This is a setup for the elections. Oh yeah, I totally agree. I told my friends, I'm like, hey, listen, the more you talk about how bad a specific person is doing or how they need to do more, or they're not doing enough, I'm like, instead of pointing fingers, maybe just help out, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to talk about it. You're going to get all the resistance. Nothing's going to get done, right? Nothing's going to pass. This is going to drag further. And guess what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to push the elections back or potentially cancel them. And and they were like, no, I'm like, ethically, if we're still social distancing, how are you going to tell people to go to the polls? And they didn't have a response back for that one. So I was like, you better root for the guy that you don't like. It's just crazy. Anyway, all right, so looking at the scanner today. So the scanner, it looks like it's coming back online this week. And when I say back online, it's never gone offline, but when things are moving 1,000 pips in a day, it's very, very hard to get a reading. So many of these currencies up top, the fact that they are kind of starting the week off inside of where they're engulfed, or, basically starting with back, returning to the ATRs that we know and love, that's a good thing. There are still some that are off. I mean, again, looking over at the majors, again, you can see there's consolidation on the pound, which makes sense. Only moved 19 pips. Things like the uptrend setup over here with, kind of the uptrend setup on this one when it's down 70 for the day, there could be something going on there. Dollar yen, another one. Aussie dollar, it says downtrend setup, but this is about to be an anchor break. It's got to be based off the 220 pips, although it did basically go straight down. But the question is this a true bottom in there? Euro dollar is another one in an interesting situation. New Zealand dollar, same. And then consolidation with dollar CAD. It's down 22, but this one has already pushed up way high. And again, we get some more bad news that want to keep continuing the pressure. Now, the European currencies. So this one we're starting to see some mix back and forth again, right? I like kind of what I'm seeing here. I think some of these are, not horribly bad, right? Euro CAD in an uptrend. You see Euro Swiss in that anchor break, and again, that was the one that I was able to get this weekend. Euro New Zealand, again, I think I still believe that the volume in that one is going to be a little bit of an issue. Euro Aussie, same thing. Euro Pound, again, sideways up, but we can see that's up 100 pips today. So again, that one's getting into an interesting position. Euro Aussie, Euro Yen, again, anchor break to the top side. Again, you can basically see across the board we have this is blue versus the except for the dollar, which is a little bit negative. The CAD basket, again, still a lot of negativity. CAD and Aussie, again, negativity on both of them. Although most of the Aussie pairs are up right now. Literally, I'm looking at the Aussie thing right now. Every single pair, all 6 of them are straight up in the air right now. Hence why we're getting the downtrend setup. On the lower time frames, again, the 4 and the 1 hour, you're seeing a lot of these sideways confirmed. So again, definitely pushing higher, definitely breaking some levels. I'm kind of excited about this. See if we can get some levels to the downside at this point. I don't see anything right now, but we have some coming up. So that'll be interesting to look at these. And again, we will do that first. Looking at the pound basket's giving us a little bit of consolidation. They're kind of running out of steam. Again, the UK kind of switching gears about how they started originally versus to where they are now. It's kind of interesting. I want to see how this one unfolds. Again, consolidation in 3 of the pairs, 1 confirmed. Pound Aussie to the downside, which that one's basically straight across negative, negative, negative. The anchor break in the middle on the 4 hour. That is the most negative sentiment of all of them, even though the pound yen is considered sideways down, sideways down, sideways down. But again, that one was up 11 today, so I don't know about that one. But interesting. I think the one to watch coming forward is going to be the euro. There's so much PMI news tomorrow. I think that's going to be the big one that we really need to focus on. And then again, followed by kind of the US, and we'll see where that one takes us. All right. So again, like I said, the scanner is coming back online for usefulness this week. When you're having 1,000 pips in a day, obviously nothing is able to keep track of that to look for reversals or anything else, and trend states and pullbacks, because the movement is just so big. All right. So each day this week, we'll be spending a little bit more time inside of the scanner and looking for the opportunities that it presents. All right, so let's jump over to charts. There we go. So let's look at Aussie first. So again, we'll kind of sync this one back up. You guys can see, is this a bottom or is this just a pullback to go further? And it's looking like it's starting to put some levels in. So, here's your 4 hour. Here's your 1 hour. Okay, so on 1 hour, you guys can see here's what we got on the 30-minute. Kind of refines that zone just a little bit. Not a bad zone. Like I said, we've been pushing up. Last time price tried to peek its head up here, it did get pushed down, and it was kind of the run down. Now again, this is a pretty quick kind of fast run up on the hourly. Again, you guys can see the zone. I'll mark it off here, and then when we drop to a 30-minute, you guys can see it kind of shrinks a little bit, right? So I think shrinking it using the 30-minute is probably going to be the best bet. And you're talking about 20 pips risk. It's not horrible, right? The ATR on this one is still quite large, obviously, for some of the days that it has. It still says 214, but starting to get, and again, today it's up 200, so it hasn't gotten much better. But again, we will be back into these times soon. So I think, again, with a 200 pip ATR, and the fact that this is sitting here at potentially about a 20 pip risk, not too horrible, right? Not too horrible. Now, major time, again, we got to go all the way back up here. So the 4 hour in this one is a little bit funky. We got to focus on these smaller time frames. And again, this is probably the cleanest pop that we see in this entire piece here. So again, that's why we picked this one as far as an entry. So that's coming up right now. Again, use your charts. Use the bottom of this body. My charts are telling me it's 59.60 to 59.85 in that area. All right. All right. So that is pound dollar. Pound New Zealand. Okay. So pound New Zealand, again, this one is not as low. I mean, price has been down here before. A lot of red. Again, this is giving us the impulse, the correction, and the impulse move. So this one does look like it's still kind of pushing to the top side. The 4 hour doesn't give us a whole lot until we get back up into this upper range. Like there's not a lot in here. I mean, this little spike here, and that's basically it. Again, there's that test up the top area. Looking at the hourly, you can see we have something sitting kind of in here. And again, drove away, based, popped up again, and then kind of collapsed. But it's kind of one of those ones. I mean, I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. I like this test better because it actually cleared the area. One large spike down, and then it rallied up, bumped, and then collapsed. Where this one just kind of stayed in here, and it did push, but it the next candle kind of came up, and then the next candle went even higher into the zone before it dropped. So I don't feel that this one's got enough juice. I think this one is going to be the better one. That one is located up here around 104.10. I think is a little bit better of a zone. And you can see this bottom wick over wick held pretty firm today. One hit opened inside that zone. Unfortunately, the spread on this one was huge, so we were unable to take it. Again, up, boom, and boom. All right, so again, not a bad little position in this one. You guys can see here on the 30-minute. That's what we're looking at. You guys can see that we closed here, popped up, and came back down again. So, yeah, again, small gap, right? Right there. Boom to boom. Okay. But again, that's where we closed, and then we opened here, and then just continued. Yeah, a little bit harder to take, right? A little bit harder to take. There was the gap up and the piece. All right. Where we are now, it's kind of like, You guys can see there's a lot of room up top on this one. I think this one's gone. I think this one has already passed usefulness. Again, I'd say small, but look how big this thing is on the 15-minute. Yeah, we're not taking that. There's no way. 30, it's lost. It's here. I think it's gone. I think we really need to wait till we get up. Yeah, I think we need to wait till we get all the way up here. Right there. All right. All right, let's go down to Aussie Yen and load this back up. All right, so interesting enough, you guys see this? So this was the check that I drew last Wednesday. You guys see the zone there at the bottom? We kind of still staying in the same pattern right now, so not too much. Like I said, I think we're going to hold these top and bottom. Focus on those two zones. I think those are the best bets. Right now, we are still sitting about 130 away, right? About 150, 147, right, from where we are currently. The daily ATR on this one is about 260, which again is highly overinflated, but we still got about 1 day worth of movement until we pop up to that zone. And remember, this is a 4-hour zone. These are typically pretty good. The risk on it's going to be a little bit heavy. It's going to be 62 pips. Again, it's a big zone. Dropping it down, it's going to be hard to shrink that one by much. Let's see. Whoop, that one. And I keep hitting that one. I don't know why I keep hitting that. Let's see if I can shrink this at all. Not really. You probably take it. Still about 45. So unfortunately, it's a zone that was based off of a very large area during the craziness. So it may be one to kind of see. Delete all of them. We know it was 45. So it was here, and then we know it was 45. So about there. This is the problem with zones being formed during large movements. I don't know. Probably the way to handle this is to wait till we get up in this area and then look for like a Nadex binary. We don't have to worry about stop losses on it. Wait till it comes up a little bit farther into there, maybe up to like 67. The bottom right now is marked off at 67.16. But I'm not going to advocate taking, 50 pips risk in a pair like this. The ATR before this whole, situation happened was only 50 or 60. Taking your risk level on a 30-minute time frame in there, not really the smartest thing. So best way to handle it would be to kind of wait till it gets up deep into that zone and then go ahead and take some type of Nadex position to the downside. Hopefully we have enough, kind of room for this one to turn and flip. But remember, the ATR is going to be shrinking. Worst case scenario, wait for it to go up, form new highs, and then start putting it back in, and then see if you can, short it when it does a failure to go higher. Maybe the best way to do it. Okay, like I said, nothing we can do about that one being formed in one of those the major time, disturbances, right? All right, so Aussie Cat again, guys. This looks like just like the other pairs. It's put a bottom in now. It's starting to push up. It's kind of looking to break a zone right here, right? And if it continues to push past, it's not in a bad position. As you can see here, again, we push through a top here, a top here, a top here. We're trying to break these 2 wicks right now. So it does look like it is actually starting to get, bullish on us. As you can see on the Aussie CAD, again, we had that one zone, quite a large zone. This one was pretty big too. You're talking about an 80 pip zone, not really something we'd necessarily want to take, but you can see we took one bounce. And again, had you taken the zone, oops, I just turned it off. You're about at your 3-to-1 right now. So even though it looks like it was just absolutely a huge zone, which it was, it still was good for its 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So again, a couple different options. You can either not take it because the risk is too large on there, or take a smaller position size. Okay. Now, if the smaller position size is still too large, it's one of those ones you just walk away. It's not worth forcing. Okay, not worth forcing whatsoever. But again, the 1-to-3 was good on this one for the risk to reward ratio. Now for this, if you are in this one, I would take it out at 1-to-3. I would not go for the 1-to-5 up top. It is before the pink line, but something turned this around here and something turned around here. As you can see, it's right at about the 1-to-3. I think pushing much further is probably a bit risky. I mean, you're dealing with this area, you're dealing with this area, as well as you're hoping that you don't get front run here. So I think it's a bit nervous or a bit risky. I'd take it at your 1-to-3 and then get the heck out. I mean, had you taken the zone, you're looking at a 250 pip profit. Take it and run. Take it and run, right? Better to be safe than sorry in that pair. Pound Swiss. Okay, so or Aussie Swiss. Now you're noticing Aussie Swiss guys also had that same bounce. This one has been putting nothing but reds in during that time. On the it is giving us a downtrend setup on the daily and the weekly. Unfortunately, it's so far, but it's been so long since prices here. There's no way to get a true indication of where the demand is in that one. So again, we're kind of looking for true bottoms to be put in. Now again, we did form a red, a green, and a higher red. So it does look like the bottom is broken. The candles are definitely, the bodies are bigger than what we kind of dealing with over here. Looking on the hourly though, it's a little bit different of a story. So we did put a level in. It formed another level right below it inside of a wick over wick, and then it kind of gave us a fast test of it to the downside. So we are kind of sitting there now. It does look like it wants to break the wick over wick. We do have another zone right above it. So if anything, I'd have to say in this pair, I'm probably more bearish than anything else. It's not at the top. Like this, I mean, again, near term, yeah, it's probably not a horrible area, but I think something like this a little bit farther away is a bit better. The way that it exploded out of this zone here, this single candle here, I mean, this single candle itself was what? About 114 pips. A lot more kind of power out of here, showing that there's buyers up there. So for me, I think that's probably the better entry than where we are right now. And again, I'd be using this as a top and this as a bottom, kind of bracketed in on both sides. So long, kind of something along the lines of this. Red. Oops. And then kind of do a green down here. Something along those lines. Oops. Let me switch. Yeah, I can't change these. I cannot change the others, but you guys get the point, right? Red up top, a green on the bottom. Those are the two I'm kind of looking for right now. So that area and that area. All right. I think this is going to be a bit too near term for what we're looking to do. All right. That'd be the Aussie Swiss. Looking at Aussie Singapore. Again, Aussie Singapore is a same idea. Again, it looks just like all the rest of them. Again, the spread on this one is about 5 to 6, so it's a little bit bigger. The 4-hour level, you can see we are at a level of basing here. Price has turned it around twice, so be a bit cautious about this one. Here's what we have on the hourly. Not a lot of clear stuff, a lot of basing in here. So again, it did took a nice little bounce off of here. Again, this one was a bit big, about 75 pips. And you may say, man, 75 pips. We're usually talking about 15, right? I mean, it was good for its 3-to-1, right? It was good for a 3-to-1. Actually, it's almost good for its 1-to-5. But you got to be a bit cautious. Bit cautious with that one, right? 70 pips is a lot for one position. Again, you could smaller position size is really the only way you can handle it. Let's look at CAD. All right, so we're going to skip CAD Swiss tonight. We're going to look at CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, guys, again, this one has been chopping back and forth. Quite large candles. The ATR on it is 209, so it's still quite large. Looking at this on the lower time frames, though, you can see that we did put some levels in. So we had a zone up top. We were waiting for it to fill that gap. Last time it touched, it literally, it just it literally just grazed the bottom of it. It just barely touched. You may or may not have gotten filled depending on your broker, and then obviously price continued to push down. So we're looking for it to rally back up there. Unfortunately, it didn't work. It didn't get up that high, so we never got a trade entry, right? We never got a trade entry. Let me hit this. Shrink it just a little bit. I'll remove this so we can see it a little bit. So again, the gray is going to be the kind of the gap area, right? So this is what we're dealing with. We have one zone here, okay? Then there's another zone right here, which again, I wouldn't necessarily mark that zone off. So it's actually two. There is a divider sitting right there. So you guys can see this one comes across, this one stops, okay? I'm not exactly sure why that one is marked there. This should not be a zone underneath of it, but hey, it is. And then there's this zone. Okay, this is actually, looking at these two zones, this is a better zone. This was a parabolic retracement, kind of a solid spike up and then boom, solid spike down, and they came up and kind of to push through. This was a more of a, I tried to go higher, and then put a lower high in, failure to go higher, impulse correction, impulse to the downside. So for me, this is not a horrible zone. You're looking at about 18 pips risk, so not bad. It's not horrible, right? And depending on how a position goes up, I don't think it's too bad. So that would be the top side going short. The way that it looks right now, it does look like it's rolling over, pushing lower. It is running into some areas of demand. So there are buyers sitting in here. There's buyers here. Again, it did push down. It gave us a green, a red, and then exploded higher. So there are some buyers here. How many? That's going to be the true question. I'm not necessarily sure on that one. If we were able to get a very clean entry up here, then yeah, it'd be worth taking short. But again, sorry. We weren't able to get a great entry, right? None of these candles are clean. None of the bodies are in a great place. So unfortunately, there's not much we can do there. I'd like to go short in it, but I just don't know. I just don't feel like there's really anything great. You can see there's a little tiny zone right here on the 30-minute, and again, it missed an entry. But it does look like it wants to roll over, but it's going to be a slow grind to the downside. And I just don't really see much where I'm like, yeah, that's a good one, right? I just don't see it in this pair. So, pound Swiss is kind of the same way, so we're just going to skip that one as well. It looks like it's rolling, but just not worth it right now. Going down into the Swiss itself, okay? So, interesting enough, you guys remember when I said, man, I'd love to end the week right here in order to have it open or look for a flip, and look at that. I was right. I drew that dot here on Thursday, and it came up much faster. I wanted it to close like up here, though, right? And what did it do? It hit it and shot all the way back down again. So, kind of funny. I missed it by a little bit. So, we are out of the range. You guys can see right here. You guys see this little gray area that I had the check next to? What did we do? We hit it, and we actually pulled away from it. So, that was over here on the 4-hour, right? Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was on the 1 hour. There you go. So that's the zone that we had marked. You guys will see. Remember I said that this was one of those ones that the risk to reward was not bad. I would not take the whole thing. It was about 25 pips instead of us using the bottom of the wick there, right? We used just the body. And I think we actually refined that. Yeah, we refined that down here on the 30-minute. But again, you can see it on the scanner on here, right? So again, there was a risk to reward. Not a bad position at all. Ended up going well past, right? Well past before kind of popping back up again to the, for this one. But I thought this was pretty funny. I drew this big circle. I was like, yeah, I'd love for it to get to this area, right? I showed this to somebody earlier, like, wait, is that where you said it was going to flip? I said, no, I wanted it to come up, and I wanted it to close like somewhere in this range right here. I was not using it as a target. It just, again, I wanted it close, but it did come up. It did trigger. You guys can see here's the zone. It ended up triggering and going back to the downside for your 1 to 3. So at this point, it went, it wasn't bad. I mean, it went about this far, if you guys can see that. It went about that far. So it's about a 40-45% pierce into that zone. It's potentially a bit more. What I would do is if you're going to take that again, I would probably raise it just a little bit higher, maybe shrink that risk in half. Downside, I still think we're good on the downside for targets either way. So I wouldn't hold, if you're going to continue to hold it, your 1 to 5 is probably fine as well. There's nothing really on the 1 hour that shows me it's going to stop. Even the 30-minute, I think you're probably good to the downside. If you haven't taken it off, again, move your stop loss up into here. Make sure you lock in like 3/4 of your profits on that one. But I think you should be good to your 1 to 5. I think we're fine for right now. Ooh, what is that one? Hippothopa? I love the names in here. Thank you, buddy. Welcome to the channel. Some of the names are so original. It's like, wait, what does that say? You always got to look at it twice. All right, so That's Swiss yen. Let's go down and start looking at the euro pair. So we got a lot of euro pairs, and I'm very, very excited about the euro right now. Again, euro dollar up 127. Actually, hold on, let me refresh it. It's up 100 now, so it's actually kind of falling into line a little bit. And then euro pound is up 77. So, pretty nice. So let's start with euro Aussie. Let's go back and get fresh data. And again, was this that top? This is the exact opposite of the Aussie pairs, right? All the Aussie pairs are the exact opposite. They spiked down and then shot up. Was this the straw that broke the camel's back as far as this position goes, right? As you guys are seeing on the 4-hour, again, we're starting to put, for the most part, lower lows in. We did have a pullback. It didn't quite go as high as the last pivot. Here's what we have on the hourly. I thought this was pretty interesting, okay? So, obviously, we are in a downtrend, right? A near-term downtrend. This one, it did form a base. It was a lower base, and it did pop, right? It did stabilize. It did pop higher. And now we're back at that same region. So, the question is, are we in an area where we can go long? Now, again, a lot of this is going to depend on how aggressive you are. Again, looking at the 4-hour, you can see it's been pushing. We got a red, a green, and a red going down. It's not quite at the bottom. On the daily, again, we got a lot of room before we can find a whole lot. It wasn't really even the low of these candles. Now, again, these candles are insane. Like, top to bottom, this candle is what? 1,800 pips. So, yeah, the daily ATR right now, guys, is 578. So, yeah, a little bit insane. But here's where we're sitting right now, in an area of demand. Any other time, I may be willing to get a little bit risky with this one, just because it's at a zone, and say, hey, listen, the risk is not that big. This is probably not a horrible trade. Fortunately, the risk on this thing is about 100 pips. So as much as I like it, it's not a Nadex tradable pair. We have a very hard time of lowering the risk on this one. You can take mini lots, but again, what we need all this to factor out. We need to get back to this to start trading normal things, right? Again, the 1-hour ATR is 124. Little bit on crack still, right? This guy's doing the meth and 5 other of the biker drugs, right? They want to stay up for 3 days to do. That's what this one is doing right now. It's been awake for 72 hours on a ride. We need this to come back down again, right? Candles like this are just absolutely no place in real trading for that kind of movement. All right, so that's where we're stuck with the Euro Aussie. Looking at Euro CAD. All right, so on the daily, Euro CAD again, large movement back and forth, but at least this one kind of stabilized more in the middle. The 4-hour gave us a pretty nice bottom, and again, that bottom was really, really close. You guys can see it. We tagged just the very, very top. It got close to that in the gap, but obviously the start of the gap, the pullback, is what it bounced into over here, right? We had marked this off before, saying, hey, listen, there would be the zone. You know what? Let me change that to dark gray is fine. You guys can see there was the bounce to go higher, all right? But looking at it on lower time frames, let me remove it now. Okay, you can still see we kind of have a top and bottom in here, right? Kind of between the 4-hour. Again, that zone is way too big on the 4-hour. Dropping it to an hour probably gives us a little bit of a little bit better of an idea. And again, this zone here, you're talking about 60, so it's just way too big. The one up top, I like the one up top. It's about 40 pips. Still a bit big, but again, nice little area. We'll see where we are when we get up to that zone, see if we can refine it. Again, this is on the 1-hour. On the 30-minute, you can refine it just slightly. And again, it would be using this test here. That may be what it takes, and that brings it down to about 24, which is a much better position. Lowest time frame, you guys can see. It's consolidating, right? It's not going as high, but again, we're not really getting tests, top and bottom, and these zones are a little bit better. Still 38 pips, which is a lot for a 30-minute zone. Again, still working some of the kinks out of this one. I think after tomorrow, after the PMIs, I think this one will start leveling out a little bit. There's just too much drama right now with French and then German and then Euro and then how does it relate to the pound? I think that's what everybody's got. That's what they're bottled up on for this pair. All right, Euro Swiss. This was the pair that I took over the weekend, or not over the weekend, but on Sunday night when I was doing the report. As you guys can see, dropping down to the lower time frame. Okay, you guys can see here. I'll go back in time. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's the hourly. Sorry. That's where it opened. Right. You guys see this right here? I'm going back in time. There was the Sunday candle right there. So I saw that we were opening up and I was like, I was like, that's not bad. It did spend a lot of time. It did explode and it's not back. Let's see if we can be in there. And then I was like, let's see. All right, this risk got to be insane. And then the risk was only 5 pips. I was like, whoa, 5 pip risk? How the heck did we get a 5 pip risk on the hourly on a pair? What's going on? Well, this pair has been a little bit more insulated. you guys can see the daily ATR is only 61 pips. So it's actually done what it's supposed to do during this time period. It did not get crazy, right? It did not do mushrooms. It did not do, any of the other smoky stuff. It did what it was supposed to do. It stayed in its 61 pip range. I was like, wait a second. Now, the spread was a little bit big, so you had to factor that into the risk. But at the end of the day, I knew I had an opposing zone. And in looking at this, I was like, wait a second. Back in here, is there anything in here? Birds, chill today. What's your problem? Come on. Come on. Want to come out? Come on. Too much noise. Come on. Come on. Come on, loud bird. Yeah, so I looked at this opposing zone, and when I looked to the left, I said, there's not really a lot in here that I have to worry about. There's no pullbacks. There's no basing levels. It's just literally a spike up and down to that opposing zone. That could be a nice little probable target. As you guys can see, I painted the red across and the green, and that's what we had. We actually pushed up into that top zone there, which, again, would have been a great short. I didn't take it, but you could have taken it. I just did it the one direction. Was able to get out, and, again, nice little profit going from Sunday into Monday. Okay. Your US, that's next. Yep, that's at the bottom when I do them. But again, so that was the last setup from last night. And again, you could have taken it the opposite direction as well and done just as well on it, guys. Where we are now, again, we drove pretty deep into the zone. You guys can see we got about 60% of the way through. So would I take it again? No, I think the zone at this much it's pretty much smoked. I mean, again, it pushed up and then got hammered down. There's a little bit left of this zone. But again, at this point, wait till we go higher curve. The trade has already happened, this little pullback. And again, looking in here, there was nothing there. So if you guys caught it, you caught it. If not, it's probably too late there. Euro pound. All right, so Euro pound, very interesting. Again, huge push up, right? We're back up into 92.90. And I was talking about, I was like, parity's up here. Like parity's sitting right here. Look at this. From where we are now, here's where the parity level is, right basically in there. Okay, so that's what it would take to get to parity. Okay, well, there's where we were a week and a half ago. So, and again, that's including this kind of pullback, right? Just these kind of 5 days, if we got one of those again, we're at parity in this pair. So, very interesting, right? Like if the numbers are not necessarily as bad tomorrow for Germany, and the pound numbers are absolutely horrible, could it have a big spike? I mean, it's a 76 pip, 176 pips. So basically one of these. Here, I'll just do it this way. 176. I mean, that chunk could put us back up here. We're back at 195. It's literally within, 2 or 3 days of being, having good striking distance. Then all of a sudden you hear that pound numbers start to go really, really bad with the coronavirus. We get another big day, boom, another pop up. You have like one of these days, right? One of these like red days like this. And even if you add this to here, you're right there. But if we were already at the high, look at that. That's at 99.50. So we are literally within 2 or 3 days of the euro pound being at parity, which would be very, very interesting. They'd be like oil the first time we got to 100. So pretty interested in this one, right? So looking at the 4 hour, okay? The 4 hour, I do like this top and bottom. I think this setup has been good, top and bottom. So we could technically take either one of these, although the zones are quite large. Dropping them to the lower time frame, again, it did shrink this top zone. We had a nice pop, a basing, and a nice push out of there. The upper zone on this one is about 28. So again, not horrible. Dropping down to the 30-minute, you can see we lose it here, and it gives us a smaller time frame. But I think the hourly one is the one to go to here. For the bottom on the 30-minute, again, I think of this bottom zone down here at 90.26 to 98.94. Those two would probably be, those would probably be the best ones. I'd be looking for this here, this guy up top, and this guy down here. I think would be the two that I'm looking at the most. I think those are the two safest. Again, either one of them could be struck tomorrow, but again, I'm really excited. I'd really like this to come back up top. If we can get like a spike up, it'd be a nice kind of turn and push to the downside. But yeah, man, 1 to 2 big days, and this would be so interesting inside of a parity situation. All right, so there's day ones there. So euro yen. So like I said, euro yen. Here, let's load some stuff up. We had these top and bottom zones here. They were done on the hourly or the 30-minute. No, they were done on the 30-minute. There you go. As you guys can see, I had the top and bottom mark. It did pop up, and you guys can see how close. There's a little black tiny sliver. So again, the hour we gave out last Thursday We just missed it right there. On the 1 hour, you guys can see it did hit it on the 1 hour, although this was a bit too much risk for me, so we did drop to the lower time frame. And in doing so, we ended up missing our entry just by a tiny bit. So it really didn't move tons. I don't even think it would have made its 3-to-1 yet. Let me see here. No, it wouldn't even have made its 3-to-1 yet. So again, it did more of a sideways consolidation at this point, but we missed entry, so it doesn't even necessarily matter. Yeah, but you guys can see so close. Hitting and coming back to the downside. So at this point on the 30-minute, I know this is not all the way to the bottom, but this had a pretty nice rally off there. You guys need to mark this zone off in your charts at 117.96 to 117.72. If you're short, that would be definitely your target. And depending on how that forms, if it's a quick pop or there's a base in there, you could potentially look for a long off that area. Again, we've had a low, a higher low. And although this one is about the same level, it had a nice push off, went slightly higher, and then boom, launched itself. So I do think we got some buyers sitting somewhere in this area. That could be a trade that's not horrible. And you can see the risk on this one is, again, 22. Yep, 22, 23, which is much better than we have on some of the other pairs. Or about 36. Are we able to find that one? Let's see. Yeah, that's better on the 15. How much we got there? And still 27. There would be my new entry up top. 120.04 to 120.31. So much better risk reward ratio on that one. And I'll remove this bottom section here. 101, welcome, buddy. Welcome to the channel. 1 to 3, I think that's not a bad area at all, right? We come up into the air, and again, if this is a single pop or a couple pops up in green, not a bad turnaround point. If it pushes down a little bit further, that gives us even better of an entry. But again, dropping in this 15-minute, I'll move this forward. I think that zone there is good. And again, I think this zone, where is it? There it is. In this case, I mean, we're on the 15-minute chart. Something smaller. This isn't bad. Look, we got front run here, push, got front run. So there's probably something small there. About 24 pips. So again, for the more aggressive trader, I think top you're good. I think bottom here you're good. I know it's not the very bottom. Again, either of these two zones I think would be fine, depending if you're a bit more conservative or a bit risky. I think either of those three, I think you are good on that one. All right. So looking at Euro New Zealand, as I said before, guys, Euro New Zealand, I'm still kind of leery about the liquidity issues. Again, there's nothing reported right now, but again, 525 pips ATR right now because of some of these candles over here. It's just completely distorted right now. The spread on this one is 7 pips. It was actually almost 40 when it opened on Sunday. So still leery of this pair. I'm not going to waste any time on it today. I don't think there's anything tradable in it. Looking at the euro dollar. So euro dollar. Man, we were so close. Look at this. I mean, it's made 3 attempts. One push, a green, right? Another push, boom, and then we kind of came off. So it's like, is that the bottom? We're so close to an entry down there. And again, the ATR is high. It's 192 right now. All right, Bird, stop. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come out. No more noise. Come on. Come on. So the one bird, come on. Come on. If you're going to make all this noise. So the one bird got caught. I have these, I had to put bungee cords on the thing because they keep opening it up. What did you say? Oh, you caught the Orion? Nice. Come on. So the one bird is super leery now. She got stuck. She had the clip and it got stuck to her beak or whatever. I have no idea how she did it, but she did it. Come on. Come on. You got one call. Come on. Come on. Hold on, guys. All right, see, now you're stuck. Come on. Come out. The door's open. The door's open. Come on. So we missed this one just by a little bit. Looking at this on the 4 hour, again, it gives us kind of a better visual kind of graphic look at this. It's not the best entry, so I do think this is probably going to make another attempt to the downside. It's close, right? It's not, it's, I don't know. I don't like the base. I do think it will come back down again. I think our entry down here at 105.48 is probably still good to 105.90. Again, it's a daily zone, so it's a larger zone. If we do get a pop, that zone up top is not bad. On the hourly, you can see again, what's going on? A little bit more consolidation, right? We had a zone here, and again, this is not where this should start. It actually should be, let's see, should be marked off here. Should be the actual zone, right? Because again, we had these descending wicks here, a pop, a base, and a nice pop off of there. So there was one entry, there was entry number 2, and again, we're kind of entry number 3. I don't know how much longer it's going to hold though. Again, like I said, this is already touch number 3. Typically, guys, we don't like to see a touch 4. It typically goes through that. So, like I said, higher, a low, higher low, higher low. Base tier, 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches. Everything says that this is going to continue to pop higher. Now, there are some sellers sitting right above it. So, again, no strong pops off the bottom. That's why if we get any type of seller pressure coming in, I do feel like this will kind of push to the downside. All right. That ATR is currently where? And 44 pips on hourly is still pretty insane, right? Still pretty insane. But I do feel like you're going to get some movement on that one. Dropping a little bit lower even. You guys can see the zones still exist. Again, now, here, I'll remove this. You guys can see that it did have the zone here. Whoops. No, not that one. Okay, you guys can see the indicator did mark the zone, right? And then because of the overlap, it got rid of it, right? Because of right there. Right there. That's where we lose it. It's right there. And again, the reason why is because one of the rules in here is if it hits a third time, it automatically invalidates a zone. Just because we know that they're starting to go down. So you had plenty of entries off of this one, but I do think it's consolidating. I think we're going to need a little bit of an oomph. This one will be a mover tomorrow morning. Like I said, depending on how late you want to stay up, this one may react. I mean, literally this one has 3 different opportunities tomorrow morning. Actually 4, right? At 4:15, here, and I'll bring this across for those of you who got the word here in the beginning. This is what we're dealing with in this pair tomorrow morning, right? 4:15, we have this. 4:30, we have this. Okay, 5 o'clock, we have this, which is not as big. These two, pretty much this will be the main one people look at. And then at 9:45, we have this. So there's 4 different kind of news releases tomorrow that could affect this position. So again, just be cautious with that one. Be careful with any of the pairs that you have in. I think after the 9:45 number, we'll get some true readings. And again, look at this on the lower time frames. See if you can pick up some of these smaller time frame, supply and demand zones. And again, the indicator marked it here. I had to mark it off over here, again, because of the overlap situation, okay? So again, always look for those type of things. But again, anything that pushes down, I do see there being a big pop off of this daily zone right here, okay? All right, Euro Singapore, again, the spread's only 3 in this one. The Euro Singapore actually has less of a spread than the Euro New Zealand. Tells you something, right? And again, on the daily, kind of back and forth. Now the question is, again, it bounced off of this zone here. Is it going to make another push higher? Looking at the 4-hour, it's got to go through some zones, right? Kind of boxed in, right? We hit the zone and bounced away. We have sellers up top. We have buyers down below, and then another round of sellers up top, and 2 more of buyers below. Really, for this thing to go up or down, I'd say it's probably, I don't know. It's marked high in the curve, so we should really be looking to short. That would kind of stack the odds more in our favor than anything else. But again, for the amount of risk you got to take in these positions, it's kind of like, is it really worth it right now, right? Again, right now, 150 down. This is not a bad little zone right here. So wick over wick. Here's a test of it. Test barely touch it and pop through. And again, you guys can say seller, 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 seller. So I mean, they are definitely boxing this thing in. Sellers do not want this to go any higher. As much as I'd like to go a bit higher, I don't know. Question is how many is sitting in each of these zones? Are they going to pound this down into this zone? And if it does, then I can see this definitely falling a bit lower, right? After it breaks this little area here, it's got a bit of a ways down to this zone right here. Okay. And then again, I think that's, you're talking about 200 pips to the downside from that low. I mean, we're all the way up here, but we need to get this kind of, we need to chunk through some levels first. We need to chunk through this stuff. All right. So Euro Singapore is a little crazy. All right, pound. So pound also has news tomorrow, 5:30 tomorrow morning. We have flash manufacturing PMI and flash services PMI. So we have 2 different PMIs. Both of them are expected to be at least 5 points, maybe even actually higher than that. Maybe even lower than what the previous was. So there can be some fireworks. So as you guys can see, here's where we're on the daily. Question is, has this put a low in? Right, we have a green, we have a red, and now we have a little bit of a green. Here's what we have on inside the lower time frame. On the 4-hour, we do have a zone up top, which we like, and we have a zone down here that not only held, pushed up, it retested, and then went higher. Okay, so that bottom zone on the 4-hour we're looking at is 125.39. We're about 300 pips from that. On the hourly, whoops, let me refresh the data there. All right, so on the hourly, you can see we did have a zone set up here. We didn't quite get entry. Front run that thing and then literally shock to the downside. Went through the 1 to 3, went through the 1 to 5, and almost made it all the way down to the 110. Quite a mover, right? Quite a mover. Here it is on the 30-minute. You guys can see again, nice little pop up, nice explosion down. Got front run, didn't make it again. Got so close, and then it's like depressing. It went all the way down. Okay, so again, this zone did not trigger, unfortunately. We did not get it. This was not when the indicator picked up, but with the movement coming off of it, that's why it's important to understand why we need to pick certain zones and understanding how to read price action. Got so close, okay? Now, since that time, you guys can see it did put a section in the bottom. Again, it immediately left the zone, pulled back, tagged the zone, and then escaped higher. Hence, the indicator marked it. As you can see, it came down and it touched once, twice, and touched 3 times, all times hitting its 1 to 3, hitting its 1 to 3, hitting its 1 to 3, all 3 times in a row. Actually, this one did not get hit. So it's here, here, and then this one you got front run by 4 pips. Okay, but 3 1 to 3 is right in a row on the 30-minute. As I said, the 30-minute levels have just been rock solid, especially when you see nice clean movement like this. And again, this is the zone you would have been taken from the top side, and we just missed it by like a little bit. It was so close. It was right there. And I was looking at it, I was like, yes, 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 yes. And then it turned, I was like, no, no, no. But it happens. Okay, no entry, no risk in the trade. Now, at this point, it's hit it a few times. I know it did get front run, but if anything, I would probably go to a lower time frame and look to see if here or up top. The top zone is still good, but we do have a bit of movement to run off of that one. It's about 300 pips. The ATR on this one is still 337, so you can say, hey, listen, it's only 300 pips. So can we hit that one? I guess we can. Sure, I mean, with the PMI, but that's going to be a big day. I don't think I would rather us not get up there in one day. I don't want to see that much craziness all come in at one time. But coming to this level, we're talking about 160 pips down to this level. That wouldn't be a bad little trade setup. And what are we talking? About 35 pip risk, which again, for it's a pound yen, not too bad of an area, right? I don't think that's horrible. So I mean, my two levels that I like the most here are this level right here and that level right there. All right. Again, that's in the overnight. If this was morning time, I would be kind of messing with a little bit here, or probably back up in this zone again. Off the 15 minutes. Again, I really like the way this is formed. I really like this. I do like that zone right there. Probably there. Again, I like this really strong candle off that zone. And again, that's coming in at 129.29. You guys are looking to get into a position. All right, so that is pound yen. Pound CAD. All right, so pound CAD. This one was not in as bad of a situation. Now, it did have a crazy explosive week. The ATR on this one is 357 pips. So again, quite large, right? Quite large, and you need to be cautious with, this, I mean, just nuts, right? Spread on this one is 5. It's normally, 2 to 3. On the 4-hour, you can see that this one has literally been bouncing back and forth between levels. We had this top level, the wick over wick. Again, it did pierce pretty deeply. I don't know if I take it again. On the downside, you guys can see, look, it took 4 bounces off this one. Still been valid, although the highs are definitely getting lower. It's trying to come down and break, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if the next one actually does push through. On the 1-hour, again, you guys can see it down here. You guys know that it's pushed over, but here's 1, here's 2, here's basically 3, and again, that's if you didn't count these 2. So, with the highs, a high here, 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 and this could be the new high. It's really trying to punch through the zone. If anything, what I would do is do the opposite. Don't go long, go short. All right, go ahead and put a Harry Potter right here, and take a Harry Potter to the downside. Look for that break. Look for a retest, and that'll be your entry from 165.42 to 166.29. And then again, put a profit target down here at 162.83. Again, make sure it's a true Harry Potter, though. Make sure we get the distance, and then I'll come up for that retest. If it just blows right through and tags the target, it missed. Just wait from the dock, and wish everybody a good old jolly old time. All right. Let's go down to pound dollar. So pound dollar has fallen off a cliff, but it looks like it's bounced. right? It looks like it stopped. It's more consolidating than anything else, though, at this point. The consolidation is, come on, stop biting me. I'm just tired of hearing you make noise. Come on. Eating my sweatshirt is going to do nothing. Come on. Why are you being so angry now? I'm going to get some raisins and you guys you'll be all over it. So the nice bird is now, angry. I don't know. Is anybody really good with birds? My wife, actually, a person I was talking to earlier today, like, oh, if you have two birds that get nasty suddenly and nothing has changed, they could be having babies. I'm like, no, we don't have room for babies. I don't want to find any like eggs anywhere inside of the nest here. I don't know if they're boys and girls. That's the thing. We just got two, so could be two boys, could be two girls, could be a boy and a girl. But they're like, oh, if they suddenly get super protective of their cage, it's because they're going to have babies. We laying eggs tomorrow. Like, lovely. That's all I need. But again, off the cliff, a little bit of sideways movement, right? Right. So the 4 hour doesn't really tell us a whole lot, or the daily. I'm sorry, the daily. Can't really see any supply demand or any demand below it. Supply is quite far away. We're talking about 1,400 pips away, because I mean, it literally just went straight down for a long time from what 130 all the way down to 116. Huge movement in the last 2 weeks. On the 4 hour, you can see we do have a zone put in. It did bounce off the zone. I wouldn't quite say it's explosive. Much better zone to the top side. I don't know if I'd use it as a takeoff point, though, unfortunately. With it's obviously a downtrend, right? And it wasn't necessarily bouncing into a big demand zone, so we're a bit cautious about that. On the hourly, you can see kind of the same story, right? I mean, it wasn't a bad move here, and it did bounce, right? It did bounce. I mean, if you had taken this, you did hit a 1 to 3, so it was valid on the lower time frame. But again, it's hard to say that the market is still trending at this point. I mean, here's your 30-minute. Your 30-minute as well, you would not have hit the lowest one, so you would have had to actually use the hourly, not the 30-minute. But if you did use the 30-minute, again, you could have moved it up into this range right here, right? And again, lowered your risk lower. In this case, your risk was about 25, and it did hit, and it did. I mean, again, you would have same scenario, whether you took it on the hourly or the 30-minute. Again, I'm telling you guys, I love the 30-minute zones right now in intraday trading. This entry, you would have gotten about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Is when this one would have triggered in the zone. It dropped into it, hit, and again, if you missed it, you were able to get it here again at what? Baby's crying again. Man, everybody's just unhappy over here. I don't know what's going on. Again, about 6 o'clock, right? You would have got this one at 6 p.m. So a couple different ways to get in. It's very fast. Grimavel, welcome. Welcome to the channel, man. Glad to have you. So again, pushing back up. Trade this one intraday. Anything I give you for this one overnight is not going to make much of a difference, especially with that pound number. And again, for the new people in, that pound number is coming at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Again, and it's a double. You can see here, this is only a single. They don't care about this one as much. This is a double between these two. And it was above 50 before, so it was good. They're already projecting 5 points below what, the contraction is. Everybody knows it's contracting. But if this follows some of the other numbers we've seen, this is going to come in around 36, and the market's going to have to adjust accordingly to it. So, yeah, it's going to get worse. Okay, so again, focus on this intraday. Let's see what the levels look like in the morning based off the dollar, and then be able to trade it. If we do get a pop, again, this is about a 260 pip pop. If we do get this pop up with pound strength, this zone is quite large. It's about 60 pips, but again, if you're trading something like Nadex early morning, there's a trade potential in this one. Again, being on the 30-minute. I don't think on the 15 we can shrink it. No, we can't even shrink it. Can't even shrink that one. So again, 5:30 a.m. Watch that one. Afterwards, go to your 30-minute time frames and look for this thing to pop up and down. All right. All right. Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie. Look at this one. Here's what we have on the daily. Okay. This is so. I mean, I'm going to zoom in for you guys can see. This is so hard to do any analysis on. Like, what is this? Right? Little bodies, big wicks, back and forth, really not a lot of movement. Now, it has broken below the gap of last week. Again, showing us that we have some Australian strength coming back in. Like all the Australian pairs, we're finally seeing some life. Now, the Euro Aussie stayed high, right? It went straight up and then started to pull back a little bit today, right? Or the last 2 days. This one just had kind of went back and forth. Now, this is another one. The spread right now is 8 pips, which again, high. Daily ATR is 49. Okay, let's bring in ATR. Okay. As you guys can see on this one, look at the ATR on this one. So normally this one has a daily ATR of about 180. So it's always been one of the more volatile pairs. But 180 is a lot less than 490. You guys can see up here. This is literally, I'll shrink it. You guys can see literally the only other spike we had was over here, right, in 2016. Besides that, we typically float down in this range of about 150 to 170. You can see where we're at right now. Okay, super, super way up there. So again, it's just something you need to be a bit cautious of. Um, Keep it into mind whether or not it's trade. If it's one of those things that is tradable or not tradable. Okay, this one I think is getting a bit dangerous with its volatility. But again, we do have some zones that are lower. Nothing on the daily. We got a little bit to go. 4 hour, you can see we got a bit more to go. For me, if anything, I think the 4 hour down here is probably the level to watch. When we get inside of this 4 hour zone, hopefully the spread has gotten smaller. We'll be working out some of the ATR issues, and again, that we can drop the lower time frame and see if we can get some type of a confirmation entry to go long. But I do think we will get a bounce when price comes down here to 193.92-ish range. Okay. Pound Singapore. All right, so pound Singapore, again, you guys can see the ATR is way high. This one has actually moved all the way back low in the curve. Okay, low in the curve. Now, we do have a big green, we do have a red pullback, and we do have a green pushing forward. So it is one of those pairs that is, again, in the lower quadrant of the curve, which means we're typically looking to go long, but we're seeing consolidation, right? We're seeing kind of an extended trend line. I think I drew this last week, and again, I don't really put much stock in trend lines. But again, if you do a trend line, you guys can see we're hitting ding, 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 all the way to the downside. I don't know if you guys can hear the baby. She's unhappy. She's been quite huggy. She thinks she won the lottery because her brothers stay home with her during the day now. It's kind of funny. But anyway, lower highs, higher lows. Okay, consolidation forming that kind of wedge to the downside. And the pair like this, again, this one only has a 6 pip spread. It has less than spread of the Aussie. I'm sorry, the New Zealand. Yeah, not much there. Until this comes back down, I want the ATR to get a bit lower. The ATR on this one is also 349. You can see that it is quite high. Pound Swiss. Okay. Pound Swiss daily, 340. Or I'm sorry, 240. So still a bit jacked up. Same pattern though, right? Push up, push back, and now it's pushing a little sideways. You can see we have no demand below, which makes this one a little bit hard. Maybe that hit. Again, we don't have any clear confirmation because it's been a long time. On the 4 hour, you can see it did actually come off that zone. It is quite a large zone though. I mean, we're talking about 140 pip zone. Again, more than I'm willing to take on a 4 hour chart, even with small position sizing. But we did get somewhat of a bounce. On the hourly, you can see it's not really drawing a whole lot here. It didn't really signify this is a zone. On the 30-minute, there's some small stuff in here, but again, it's down here. Price had been a little bit lower. It's not a bad zone. If anything, I do like the way that this pushed down. It is about 50 pips away right now. This zone is not horrible. I mean, it's about a 24 pip zone, so that's actually not a bad kind of overnight short. Now, if the price is in that area before the news release, that would be a time to get short this position. Now, again, understand this is spot currency. It is risky to take that before news, especially with everything going on right now. But if I was looking to make a play, that would be the play to the downside. If we pushed up into that area right before the news release at 5:30 in the morning. Okay, that's pound Swiss. That zone is at 114.32 to 114.54. Looking at pound New Zealand, like I said, yeah. Pound New Zealand, again, has the same type of issues right now with liquidity. You guys can see that the spread is 11, right? 11 and a daily ATR of 521. So again, this is another one of those ones on crystal meth. We're just going to avoid it right now. As you can see, I mean, some of the zones have held fine. The daily went, I mean, this one candle, look, it literally came up and spiked and then collapsed back down 1,000 pips. But yeah, you guys can see this. Look at this. Here's your ATR. All the way up here at 518. You guys can see this normal ATR just generalized in this area right here is about 180, 190. So it's almost 3 times, right? Almost 3 times the actual ATR right now. Let's get a couple days on our belts. Let's get some of this drama out of here and, get some actual, legit numbers as far as, what should be normal. After looking at today and looking at the pound numbers being almost flat, we are well on our way for that one. So I think the light is at the end of the tunnel for the pound. Looking at New Zealand, again, I'm only going to cover the 2 New Zealand pairs. I'm just not going to go crazy with it. again, just because of liquidity reasons. You guys can see, again, big spike down. The ATR is jacked. The ATR is 235. Normally it's sitting down here at 60. Only 3 spread is not horrible. We had a zone up top where, again, we got a while before we can get up there, but it's about the only thing clean. Looking for it to come up. There is a little bit more of aggressive zone that formed right below that area. But even on the hourly, you guys can see there's not, not too much. Let me I'll delete this top zone real quick so we don't have the extra, the extra light. So zone's okay on the hourly. I don't know. Kind of one of those things. This is going to be an overnight position. Again, we're about 44 pips from it right now. The zone itself is 30. It's okay. It's not horrible. And again, but you can see, what do we have here? It just, are they clean zones? Zone, 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 a whole bunch of zones all in a row. So kind of one of those things. It's like, is it the best zone? I don't know. The hourly is probably the best ability to get into it, but I don't know. I think there's better opportunities in some of the other pairs. I think Aussie and Euro actually had some better setups than this one. I think this one is you're just taking a little bit of risk. Like I said, New Zealand I'm very leery right now as far as what we're running to. So as you can see, pulling back, kind of a bottom, 4-hour consolidating, same thing. You guys can see all these steps on the way down, lower highs all the way on the way down. We have higher lows. This one's getting a little weird, right? Again, you see that basing in there. We had a little bit of violation. This is probably not bad top and bottom. Again, last time price was here, it did start a pretty nice little rally. That rally started, or that collapse started really about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So Monday European Open, and then it basically stopped here, right? And then since that time, we haven't really done much. Here's where we are right now. Here's early morning. Here's the U.S. market open right here at 8:30, 9 o'clock. It popped and just went sideways and then moved a little bit. So you're really only talking about 60 pips worth of movement. So not a bad zone. I think I'd be more cautious to see it. If at the London Open we can be up there, maybe it's time to take this one. Maybe time to take that one short. Something along those lines. Spread is 2, not bad. ATR on this one is currently, and the ATR is 194. This one has an ATR normally of about 45 to 50. So again, we are almost 4 times as high. So it's the only thing that's keeping me from just saying, yeah, pull the trigger on that one. Like that one. There you go. On the 30-minute. That's about 18 pips risk. That one is what? 58.62 to 58.81. Okay, for something on a smaller time frame. All right, last but not least, let's look at the dollar, and then we will jump into the indices, silver and gold. All right. There we go, man. Look at that. How about that? Gotta love that. Gotta love that when it happens. The entry right there, again, that's quite a large zone, guys. But again, on the daily, we came up and smacked that area. On the 4-hour, you can see, again, it was pushing a little bit higher. It didn't make the really, really small entry. It only did it on the daily. But again, you got to be watching for that. There was a gap there, too. You guys can see there was a gap, so there is kind of a level in front of it. Interesting little setup here, though, right? So on this one, you guys can see you need to go a little bit higher to get any type of entry on it. It has pushed a bit higher. So, had you taken this prior zone, again, with a little tiny bit of buffer, you were probably okay. But if you didn't put any buffer, you're going to get stopped out on this one, right? Then what did it do? It came all the way back down and grabbed this zone. Okay, formed another zone. Again, there's a quick hop here. Again, this was that little bounce, quick in. And what time is that today? That was market open. Yeah, you had the spike open, this spike down at market open, and then press up. So that was probably the best setup on this one. As you can see, 1 to 3 is good, 1 to 5 is not good, and I don't think you wouldn't have gotten into this one. This is not really the best zone up top. I don't even think 30-minute you would have grabbed it. No, 30-minute. Yeah, here. Let's do B. You guys see, there would have been the top, which again, this would have been a no entry. You would not have wanted to take this one, and here's why. See how this one drove all the way into there? What's left in this zone to grab? Nothing. Nothing. So you would not have taken that one over here. Okay, it doesn't invalidate it because it didn't breach it, but when you go 99% of the way, we're not taking it. And you can see it would have failed. And that's where we have where we are right now. Um, this zone, no, not so much. I would not use that zone. I think because this is where the retracement was right here, right? Um, that's where the original trade entry was that I just marked off. Whoops, and you guys can see it right there. Okay, now again, quick spike in the morning. That's why you should be looking at charts in the morning time. Literally drop right into it. It pierced about that far into the zone. So again, definitely a clean entry. And hit your 1 to 3, 1 to 5, and you were out in this one in an hour or 3 hours. So not too bad. I would not use that zone again. I think that zone being done on the lower time frame. Like I said, we don't know what it's going to do overnight at this point. Again, the European session, they could really decide to jack up the dollar, and we don't have anything to stop it. We are about 60 pips from this lower zone. It's not bad. See these. I want to see these top zones real quick. Top zones this much. Let's see. Yeah, it marks off that one. This top zone is not bad. It's done off of a higher time frame. So see how there's two here? I'm not using this bottom one. If price comes up, and like I said, it's going to take a lot to probably spike that on an hour. Let's see. Yeah, it's 180 pips. So this is more for like a in the future / tomorrow, if we decide to rally like this. 112.01 to 112.22. That little 20 pip zone right there is actually using the 4 hour, and then it's getting further refined down. It's actually using the 4 hour. We're taking a little bit of black in there. You can shrink it a little bit to take it just on the hourly, but I think you're okay by taking that little bit of an extra. Yeah, 20 pips is not bad on this trade. To be taking this for a short trade. Okay, looking for a short to the downside. Right there. Uh, Anything for longs right now? Like I said, I'm not interested in this taking it off this zone. I think if anything, I'd be more willing to take it off of here, right? I'm not necessarily a big fan of that one. I don't think it's where we are right now, but the zone is quite large. You're talking about a 45 pip zone, and even trying to shrink it, it's pulling a wick over wick. It touched. Yeah, I mean, here's the zone. The other zone would have been up in here. So I think one of these two ones down here are probably a bit better. This one actually, this little hidden thing right here is interesting. I actually wanted it this way, but let's see, where's that fall? Bottom half of that, but it's kind of no man's land between those two. That's not a bad little. It's kind of a funky level, but it hit here and then got retested here, which is two kind of nice signals that there are buyers there. That may be worth it for an aggressive entry, but if anything, I think taking this bottom one was probably the safest. But if you get front run, again, not necessarily surprised. Okay, yep, doing silver and gold after this. Dollar CAD next. So dollar CAD, as you guys can see, we're starting to consolidate back in again. Okay, as you guys can see, we're sitting inside of this huge weekly zone here. We drove all the way to the top of it, but now we're kind of consolidating inside of it. Makes it a little bit more, different. On the 4 hour, you can see we did go off this top zone here. It is pushing to the downside. It's been rather slow. Again, this was something that kind of triggered about 12 hours ago, as you guys can see here. It came back up, and again, it touched. God, what time did that touch? About noon. About noon. And then since that time, it's dropped about 163 pips. So again, higher time frame based off of this level on the 4 hour. Quite a large level again, but it did, a lot of risk. But again, I'm looking for somewhat of a retracement in this one. I think this push all the way up, and when we're back up in this 145, 146 range is a bit much. I think this can definitely pull back to this, to the yellow line in this one, which again, not a bad little position. We talked about it last week as well. So this one is technically in, so we're not going to do too much with that one. Euro Swiss, as you guys can see, Euro Swiss. Big push down, big push back up again. We never got that entry here. Looking for the 4 hour. You guys can see this did kind of it tickled off this one, but it's not something you would have been able to get into. We would have run out of time. On the hourly, we are running into an area of demand. Okay, I wouldn't use this level of demand. I would be using. See, did it market? Yes. I would be using that level of demand. So for me, I'm looking more for there. And here is the actual zone. Okay. I think we'll probably get a little bit of a bounce off of that one. We'll see what time it enters the position. I don't think we'll get a bounce and a kind of pop. I think if anything, we'll get a bounce and kind of just a sideways bit of movement in here until morning time. Unless we get some type of bad Swiss news or the European news will have a little bit of effect on this one. But if anything, it'll provide more weakness and provide dollar strength that would help pop it. So, you know, you could, I mean, you could potentially take something off of this if it's small. The only problem with this is I don't think you're going to be able to get back up to this target until, in time before the news, right? We already know we have news tomorrow morning at 9:45. All the European and the pound and everything data in here. Again, if it's really bad, they're going to look to the United States, and again, we may see that dollar strength come back in again, as they all have weakness, which would again shoot this pair back up. So we could potentially get front run, but that would be a small trade again for any of you guys that like this pair, that like things that move a bit slower. All right. So that is the European, or I'm sorry, that is the dollar pairs. Again, dollar Singapore. I'm waiting for a pullback on this one for the daily, but there's no levels up top. So we're really looking for something more on the lower time frames, and we just haven't gotten it yet. All right. So let's go over and look at oil, gold, silver, and the indices. Okay. So as you guys can see looking at this one. So we were looking to see if we get that break below 20, right? We are looking for a Harry Potter. We did not get it last week. It did not break. It pulled higher, and I never switched this around, but look at this. Okay, there was the Harry Potter, right? I'll go down on hourly. There was the Harry Potter we were looking for, right? And what did it do? It gapped right into it. So, interestingly enough, if we continue this across, whoops, not that way, right? Same levels. There. There. I don't know if any of you guys caught that or not. But again, we had the Sunday night gap right into that zone, right? And we just hit the 1 to 3. So I don't know. Is that the bottom for oil? Is oil done? It's back up to $25. Last Thursday, we were trying to say, hey, listen, is it going to break 20? We marked the zone off, and it rallied higher. What's going to happen next? I mean, I do like this zone on the hourly. I think that was a clean zone. Gave us good movement to the downside. I mean, if it gives us another day like this, we could potentially be up there going into the oil number on Wednesday, but not too bad. When you kind of sit there and on your first candle, you gapped into the actual zone. Again, you got to take those gap strategies. James, I think you made some money on this one, actually. I think I remember you saying that you took this one. Actually, we should put it right. Yeah, right there. Close enough, right? Look at that, guys. We were looking for a break, and it never came back, but then it ended up hitting and coming through. So, yeah, pretty interesting. That could be the bottom in oil. You heard it here first, right? But again, I'm waiting for the, again, I'm not going to do the 30-minute over the night. I think hourly, look at this top zone up here at, 27.81 to, 28.40, quite a large range. But again, we can, dial it down tomorrow morning. This 30-minute zone, I'm not as worried about in the overnight. I'm still looking for this guy up top. All right. Looking at gold. All right. Gold on the daily, you guys can see it turned off this level here. We didn't hit the big basing level, but it hit the minor one. On the 4-hour, you can see we did put lows in, right? And then we did form an area. We did not pull back. So it is rallying. So I am actually looking to get short this position over here at 159.60. I think this is a pretty valid zone. It is on the 4-hour, so it's a little bit larger of a level. And dropping down to the hourly, you can see there's kind of two levels here. There's this first one that we just are kind of bouncing off of right now. I think that one will probably disintegrate. Here's a wick over wick, and again, we do have a touch. I don't think it's not a bad level. Again, like I said, I think the 4-hour gives us the kind of the biggest benefit. I'm interested to see. I didn't match it up yet, but I don't know if any of you guys have looked at the touch brackets today. This could definitely be one of those touch bracket trades if we can get this thing closer to kind of one of the ceilings here to the downside. On the 30-minute, again, 30-minute, you're going to have to follow during the day. You guys can see that there's a bit of a front run zone on the 30-minute right before where we're looking to get in. Let's see. Here's the little zone. You guys can see this right here. Basically, here is the kind of a mini version of the zone that we're looking at. And it should coincide with the area. Yep, the top end of it. So if anything, actually make this a little bit higher. Let's go ahead and right there. That's a little bit better. 1607 to 1614. And again, that is done off the 30-minute. You guys can see the little basing, and it was tested, so we know there are some sellers sitting in that range. Again, a little bit of a front run zone we got to worry about right there. Okay, so that's gold. Looking at silver. Okay, again, silver, same kind of pattern, right? We based, we went higher. Looking at it on the hourly, this one does not have the same type of levels. Now, we did have this gap up, which gold did not have here, but we did have the same kind of rally, or I'm sorry, this kind of like just drop to the downside, right? So on the 30-minute, okay, on the 30-minute, again, we still can't see levels for a while. Now, let me take this off. But you can see here's that kind of rollover. Now, I like the push. Unfortunately, the level is not great. Okay, so if anything, I would say that we got to look probably, I mean, what's safest is probably that area right there from 1533 to 1552. But again, are we going to miss out for this? Potentially. You know, there could be definitely something small sitting, you know, maybe in here. You know, the way that this kind of like based here and then came up and touched it right there. Okay, that's not a bad zone. That's not a bad little zone, right? A pop, a drop, a base, it punched through, came back up, tickled it, and then boom, just collapsed. So, you know, that could be, this could be something here. Let's see. Whoops. Let's change this to teal. You guys can see how close those two are to being struck up there. Okay, so that'll be tomorrow. So that first one is 1475 to 1489, and then the second one is 1533 to 1552. Okay, going into the Nasdaq. All right, so I don't know. Should I say it? Like, could this be a bottom? It's popped off a few things already before, guys, but small levels. And we mentioned before that we didn't expect it to hold again. As you guys can see, we had levels, but it got past the level, so you know there wasn't really much we could do with that one. I think this was on the lower time frame. But since that time we put in, you know, again, it got past. There was the level. Again, we ended here, right? That's where we ended the week. And we even mentioned it's like, oh, we ended here. That should be interesting to see if we go higher. And it did. It gap lower and went all the way back up again, right? So we'll lose it on here. So we did put a 4-hour zone in. There was a little bit of an entry right here. I mean, at 1 o'clock in the morning, I wasn't taking it. But you can see it rallied all the way up. It spiked up at 7 o'clock this morning. And then boom, all the way back down again. So that little parabolic retracement. This one candle was pretty big, right? We went from what 67.81 all the way up to 72.85. So quite a large bit of movement instantaneously. As you guys can see, this was here's a 30-minute, right? Went all the way up, it snagged the indicator area, and then boom, all the way right back down again. So parabolic retracement right there. We are approaching that level again. I don't think that level will hold again, particularly in the overnight. There's no reason for it to. Obviously, you're going to have less volume. Things that I'm looking for, again, in the overnight, it's going to be kind of hard. Again, talking about 30-minute time frames on this one are a bit difficult. Zones, I do think we will have issues if we're able to get up to this range, or when we do get up to 78.95. Obviously, I know it's a bit far right now, but I think that will be a pretty valid zone, you know, for taking a short. I do think something along those lines will be definitely valid. To the downside as well, again, we have to see how the market reacts in the morning to that flash manufacturing news. I don't think if it spikes, it's going to be able to reach this high, but could it start to, you know, fade down overnight and then be sitting close to this? Sure. If it's sitting kind of right here, and if it pushes down right before that news, that could definitely be a signal for us to go long as well. But unfortunately, we're too many hours away right now to really make a big determination whether or not it's a smart or not smart trade. Nothing we can, you know, there's not much we can do about that one right now. Again, this is going to be more of an intraday target. Looking at the Dow, kind of the same thing. We had that gap down and then kind of a successful day, right? Didn't quite make it all the way down. And if you look at some of the violated zones, you guys can see we've kind of bounced off this one, bounced off this one, bounced off this one. So we're looking for another one to bounce off of underneath. 4-hour, it's not actually painting anything. It's not as clean. As you guys can see, this one did not paint anything in the 4-hour overnight. On the 30-minute, you guys can see it painted something small, but again, parabolic retracement into a zone here. And again, that's not a bad little kind of basing level either. I don't think it marked it off though. Not that one. It would have been this one here. So nope. It would have been this guy right here. Oh no, it would have been the lower one. Okay. If price comes back up, okay, kind of the same idea. I like the zone that I have marked off right now. I wouldn't be using this as a sell zone. So for me, what I'm looking for next is to break through this zone. We had a drop, a base, a nice drop out, a retest, a push lower, another base, and then another touch. Okay, so for me, if we're able to get back up into this range in the Dow, I don't think this is a bad level to take. That kicks in at about 19,997 to 2206. Okay. Um, Not horrible in the Dow. Like I said, it was a level of basing. It did show us something. It does have the potential to be front run by the basing level here, but I think that's potentially a valid target for us as far as entries go. Okay. Downside, same thing. Where are we at? It's done at 1841. I think the flash manufacturing number will matter a lot. Put it this way, I'm more likely. So here's how I'm thinking about this one. And again, here is the looking at that number, looking at this. Okay, so a couple things that I'm thinking about on this one. Number one, it's at 9:45, so the markets will already have been open. Okay, markets will already have been open. Okay, the problem with that is, markets will already have the morning reaction to anything we hear first thing. Okay, we're getting closer to that 10:30 reversal time in the morning. Okay, if the number is good, people are just going to assume it's good now, but it's only going to get worse, right? Because obviously we're just starting to see the beginning effects of the coronavirus. If it's bad, people are also going to say, well, heck, it could get even worse, right? It's going to get worse. So again, good news, it's not going to say, hey, good news, manufacturing is awesome. It's not going to go all the way up here. People are like, oh, okay, it's going to come into here. And people are like, yeah, but this is just the start. It's going to get worse. So we're not going to celebrate what's already happened. We're going to, we need to be cautious about what's about to happen. Okay. If it's bad, it's going to go, it's going to drop. And people are like, oh God, it's only going to get worse than this. How much worse can it get? You know what I'm saying? Especially because the biggest thing that I'm looking for this week is, where is it? Oh, right there. Oh my God, they adjusted it already. All right, so this started off yesterday at 750,000. Now we're at a little bit higher than that. Wow, so they doubled the unemployment claim number in 24 hours. So this is more what I'm worried about right now. I think this is probably more the issue that people are going to be focused on. So I don't think any amount of good news is going to matter. But man, I can't believe they doubled this already. Wow, wow, wow. I'm going to have to take a picture of that and put that back on Facebook. You'll be like, yeah, look what they doubled. So yeah, so that's what I'm looking for, guys. If you can get a kind of a rally up overnight into this zone, I'd be looking to take this one short. I don't think any amount of good news is going to pop it higher. All joking aside, I don't think the end is in. I think once we have 1.5 million layoffs, then I think this will continue to push down. I think after that is in, though, I think we should start looking for a bottom. I think there's a little bit more negativity, and it's not so much negativity. It's that there are going to be people that are going to be trying to sell, getting money. Okay, it's going to be kind of forced selling that people are going to want to access the cash in the market because they think, oh God, it's going to get even worse. It's going to go down. I'm going to lose more money. Let's go to cash. And that level of selling, because of a huge number like that, I think it'll bring it down a bit more. S&P. As you guys can see, S&P kind of has the same thing down, right? You guys can see S&P does have a weekly level lower. The weekly lower level in S&P is 1876. So we got a little bit of room for that one. Obviously, one or two of these big candles could definitely get us down there. It's not going to happen in one day. Looking at it down here on the 4 hour, you can see that we do have a daily level above, and this is actually a pretty nice little daily level. We do have a daily level sitting here at 2702 to 2768. So, having a level right here, I think is something we have to look at. Now, we're not close right now. Again, this may be a level we don't hit for a little bit, but I think if anything, we're kind of, I'm still looking at this one saying, hey, listen, look at all these lower highs, look at all these lower lows. We are somewhat in, I could do, the equidistant channel from here, right? Right? This one, right? Something along those lines. And I'll draw the equidistant channel as well. There we go. Right? So kind of following that more to the downside. I do think we are a bit more into a push down. All right. Um, what if there's only a million layoffs? Yeah, well, you say, okay, so here's the question. If it's only a million layoffs, that's this week. How many are going to be in the next report? Right? That's the thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how good the news is. Everybody will expect more because we haven't seen the peak yet. So it's only going to get worse. That's what I'm saying. I don't think we can have good. I think the number can only, if the number is worse, if the number comes in at like 1.8, holy crap. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a limit down if it comes in at 1.8. I actually don't think it'll come in at 1.5 yet. I think it will get there, but I don't think it's going to come in at 1.5 yet. If it comes in at 1.8, hold on. Now, with that being said, knowing that, guys, what could we do before that news release? I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to say it right now. Let's not be surprised if Nadex decides to close contracts down 10 minutes before that one trades. Right? Yeah. Leave it to Nadex. We're going to shut down all trading until after this number because of the extreme volatility. Yeah. But with that being said, guys, it's great that you guys know how to trade Nadex because with Nadex we have what? Limited risk. So if you can get a position and take some out of the money binaries, what could potentially happen? You think it's going to go up 500 points if it's great? No. But if it's really, really bad, will it go down 500 points? Yeah. So again, that's yeah. And I hate to say that, but that's probably how I'm going to play it on Thursday. All right. So again, S&P, looking at the hourly, I mean, it's kind of put this little bottom section here. And again, this is a 4-hour zone that it's kind of bounced off of. You guys can see it on the 1 hour. Again, big spike up. This one pretty easy as well. You can't actually see it on either of these two time frames, but it's very easy to see. This is the cleanest of all of them. Okay, this was the cleanest. A drop sideways, nice push out. Three things down. This is the absolute cleanest of all. You guys can see it right there. There was your 1 to 5 parabolic retracement all the way back down, hit the other zone on the other side. Absolutely textbook on that one. Perfect trade setup. So if anybody got that one, congratulations. The risk on that one was not too bad, 23.82 on an hourly, but super clean. I think actually on the 30-minute you can see it as well. Yeah, 30-minute you can see it as well, and you could actually take even less risk. Actually, I had drawn it pretty well. Okay, so there is your zone. That was the best of all of them today. Right there. Right there. Full parabolic retracement all the way back down again. Weeklies will be what you're looking at. Yeah, maybe. I'm curious to see what time's the release. Now I'm curious. It's like, oh wait, what time is it? It is. See, here's the thing, James. It's an 8:30. Are there 20-minute binaries running at that point? I don't trade the 20 minutes too much, but normally the problem with the small ones is they carry over. But the 20 minutes should start at 8 o'clock, right? 8 to 8:20, 8:20 to 8:40. So getting an out of the money would probably be pretty cheap on that one, and it wouldn't need to move as far. No, the 20 minutes aren't working that early? Ah, that would have been great. That would have been fun. Yeah, I don't trade the 20 minutes too much, but that would have been kind of an interesting one. I'm telling you, there's so many ways to trade that one. You think they start at 9? Yeah, I just don't trade them enough. I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. So it's like, oh, I don't know. That'll be something. Maybe I'll do like an analysis. Maybe we'll do that on Wednesday night. Be like, all right, how are we going to play the unemployment claim of this? Yeah, special session. Ways to play this with Nadex with limited risk. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. We'll spend the entire time. All right, so that's later in the week. All right, so S&P guys, again, let's go back down to lower time frames. That was the trade setup of the day with this one. Same kind of scenario, like I said. I would not take this level again. If anything, probably the same thing. This hourly level up here is probably. What am I marking off up there? I don't even know. Let's mark this one right here. This level up here at 160. What 160? what 2667 to 2705. That would be for any type of. I think that's too far for us to hit in one kind of little bounce. But again, if we do rally up overnight for some reason in some type of crazy movement, that would be where I'd be willing to get short. To the downside, I just don't. This to me, this is not signifying a down. Even on the daily over here, you can see the weekly level is much lower. When we get to the weekly level, oops, then I would be looking for some type of potential bounce off of it. We've seen it every single time until then. The Mason jar trade. 2 hours, 8 a.m. Okay, so we can do a 2 hour. Yeah, 8 to 10. All right. All right, guys, so that is the last one. Let's go over and do the giveaway. I know you guys are all waiting for those last little minutes. James got in first tonight. Ooh, I don't see Josh in here. I don't see Q in here. Who else are we missing here? Is Vanessa back yet? I saw her step into Discord today. I know she's quite busy at this moment in time. Wealth Builder in here. I don't see Wealth Builder in here yet. I will give you guys what? I don't know, a minute to get in. When this says 142, we'll do it. For those of you new in the room, do exclamation point ticket. It gets you the opportunity to get some extra pip chips. We use pip chips for things like indicators. You can do one-on-one mentoring. You can ask me about specific stocks and things like that. It's not for recommendations, but I'll give you what my analysis is on it. You have to make the determination if you like it or not. What is it? I'm waiting. I know you're waiting to the last minute now. I think, wait, has Q typed in the last 30 seconds? Because, he's been falling asleep at the wheel. Last night he missed it, right? Or what was it, Thursday? I'm like, I'm cutting it off at 42. And what did he do? He got it. He like passed it out at that last minute, right? I'd be dozing. Q, are you working from home yet? Since they basically shut down New York? I'm wondering how bad you're like our man. You're like our inside guy on the ground. Wealthbird is like, I'm getting in there like 15 seconds ago. Yeah, working on finish my okay. Mike's hard limited. Ernest is like, what? That's not girly vodka. Yeah, exactly. All right, so shutting it down in 5. Look at this. No Josh. We need to get on Josh. But you know what? You know why his daughter's not here? Because she's not allowed to drive anywhere. She has no need for gas money. That's what it is. That's why she's not in here. So everybody make sure to go tag Josh. All right? Closing it down. Winner of the drawing. Who was the winner last time? I feel like it was Ernest. Who won last Thursday? I think it was Ernest, right? Ernest got it Friday, right, guys? Yeah, I think it was Ernest. All right. So if Ernest wins again tonight, he gets 100 pip chips, and then will be raging. Okay. Ready. The winner of the drawing is Debbie. Look at that. Go, Debbie. Debbie's in need for some positivity anyway, guys. Let's go give. Nope, not that one. Let's go to leaderboard. Let's find Debbie. Where's Debbie? There she is. Oh, the bird finally just. Hey, Debbie, I just want to let you know the bird was very excited. I gave you your pip chips, and the bird that I've been trying to get out all night literally just jumped on my shoulder. What? Why are you being so mean? What are you mean for? No one will complain about Debbie winning. Nope. Nobody complained about Debbie winning. Debbie's had a rough little go. Debbie's posted what's the situation inside of Discord. So definitely give Debbie your prayers, your best wishes. Whoever whatever you believe in. Definitely say some of those for Debbie. Again, she's going through a little bit of a scenario. She's okay, but again, people, loved ones. So let's make sure that everything is good for Debbie. All right. So that being said, guys, I am out of here. I'm going to go put the birds back to sleep now that they just came out. And go make sure my daughter has not murdered my wife yet. And I will see you guys in the morning. I'll take care. I'll see you guys. Oh, by the way, before I go, so I talked to Nadex today. They're like, hey, listen, people are home. We need to do more webinars. So Nadex wants me to start doing some analysis webinars. I think the first one is going to be next Tuesday not tomorrow, next week at noon. They want me to do some intraday analysis. So I'm going to start doing some stuff for them. Okay. During the week, which will be fun. I miss doing those. All right, guys. With that being said, I am out of here. Catch you guys tomorrow. with this.